Right. Okay. This picture was obviously from the newspaper, but they went out yesterday. I was at a course in gerodontology, and the reason I put it in is I've been to so many courses where at the back you'd see the presenter saying, "Well, yeah, I know you can't do this on the health service. And we have a problem now that we just can't get access. You can't get access, and there are lots of reasons for that. But this is the main one. There's the health service says it'll provide everything, but the nurses have gone on strike. Well, it's not the dentists. Certainly not the vast majority. Most went private because they wanted to provide good work. The dental corporates, some are extremely good, and some aren't so good. And also the problem with the corporate is in effect they don't take responsibility for the work, but they put the people doing the work, which is all their staff. It's not just dentists, the receptionists, the nurses. Everybody gets the grief. I've got some grim experience of that myself. And the public, the public, as we know, they're far more litigious than when I qualified. We have twice as many cases than the last looked about compared to America, and that's partly because of these advertised. If you're not happy with your dentist a few years back, then complain to us, and we have to pay the GDC. You just couldn't make it up. And this the dental law partnership, I think they're called. There's the dentist who was with them. He's the highest paid dentist, I would imagine, in the UK. He's got at least 50 solicitors working for him, and yeah, it's the equivalent of ambulance chasing, and it's just clearly wrong. But 6 times as many lawyers qualify as many medics. There used to be one 100 years ago. It was the same number. And yeah, politics. They've just changed the sugar tax. They've backtracked on the sugar tax. They backtracked on the thing about Facebook and youngsters seeing, bad images. It just, big business just gets in the way for the individual. And this is where we made a mistake. And I made this video.
Dental litigation is a problem. It seems to have increased after the millennium. The biggest dental negligence firm was established.
Yeah, so initially I made this when I was still working, but I put it in Spanish. And so what's happening now is IT has improved so much that this was made just by following the text. And so all practices can kind of use this. But the problem is that to be interested in your job, you want to do extra learning, but some of the learning is a bit dull, and if you specialize, actually you can look at it both ways, in that you're doing it for your own interests, but you're running out of people who can afford it. And we have this problem now that general dentists are struggling to do anything that's remotely tricky, because one, they'll get sued, and if you get a poor outcome, which isn't the same as doing it poorly. And the same thing we've always had about supervised neglect, when clearly supervised neglect depends who you're talking to. If you've been neglecting that tooth for 30 years and it's still there, that's not neglect. Anyway, this is the state we're going to be in. I always think of the Hunger Games. If you've seen it, you'll know that there are a few people who seem to have everything. And here there's probably a bit of Botox going on. There's probably a bit of dermal filler. She probably had ortho. And she probably had some cosmetic, composite buildups. It's we need to get a balance. But I can understand all dentists doing this, because it's an easier way to make money without such a threat of being sued. So this is something that we should do, and so this was recent, and you can just paint the teeth with a solution, and it'll help arrest decay and give you time if you're working for someone who, in this instance, had cancer. But on the other hand, it'll work for people. It works extremely well for children. And as this shows, is the outcomes are the same if you do what we call art, or if you just do this. And this can be, quite frankly, this can be done by, well, I would imagine, a dental nurse, never mind a therapist. Hygienists can do it. If they can paint on sealants, then they can do this. And they have more likely to get access to care homes or want to do care homes because, you don't need to have great skill to do this. And these things are just not used in the UK when they're used more abroad, and they're getting used more and more. So we should be doing that. And yeah, when it comes to root fillings, again about specialisation, if you do a root filling on the health service, we used to get paid back in the day less than it costs in the instruments that you would use. And so we all know this. The root fillings I did at the end, I hardly had any failures, and there was not great shakes, but there's lots of stuff about this that's poor. So this was showing, it was something that the chief dental officer mentioned when COVID, and recommended the thing before, silver diamine fluoride, recommended doing the SVEC technique for root fillings, all things that most people were blissfully unaware of, and I'm talking about the dentists now. And the other thing was about teledentistry, and we should be doing that. As you can see here, this isn't ideal. If you have a root filling from a specialist, he would hope to get about 98% success or a good outcome, and it'll probably cost you £750. Some dentists might be prepared to do this on these SVEC technique on the health service if it still exists, but not if they're going to get sued when you get a poor outcome that just basically means to need to pay the $750 for the expert root filling. And now we've got teledentistry. So the iPhones, the smartphones can take great photos. So you just need to know how to manipulate your soft tissue. It's not so easy to show the insides of the teeth, but these are taken using a camera, and these cameras, the first camera I bought was like £6,000-7,000, and this is just from a camera I bought on the internet for £40, and next year it'll be £30 and it'll be better, and we just need someone to look at them to tell you, how long you need to come in or to give you oral hygiene advice. It's ridiculous that you have to come in, and it's very green. You can get the advice you need or your child needs over the phone and we can both be at home doing it, which frees up surgery time, which might help with waiting lists. Yeah, and this is really for our mental health. I used to run a peer review for 10 years, and we stopped doing it because we stopped getting paid for it. But basically, we should do it for our mental health, and it's the best way to learn. So if I went on a course or anyone else went on a course, we could always ring back. And one of the reasons I've ended up doing this is a guy gave a talk on cancer, as you know, and we need to be checking ourselves once a month for cancer. I did a survey and asked patients what they prefer, to check themselves once a month or to be seen once a year by the dentist. And everyone said once a year, and I thought I must have just phrased it, or what's it called, framed the question incorrectly. So there's a few things here, so I'm allowed to say, I think I lost the one on root fillings. There's a one on root fillings, but, it's bottom right. But this is the one I was going to show because it's minimal. Yeah, and the guy started in the Ghana, so he's cutting the tree down. Anyway, so you can read this, so pause and read it. But basically, this is using scanning equipment in a different way, and straight out of practice, straight into practice, I wouldn't want to be doing this. But I've been seeing this, trying to keep this lady going for many years, and she used to see the hygienist every 3 months, and so this is what you're left with, and so she never ever had a denture. And so it is minimal invasive dentistry, but it's just there wasn't much to work with. All right, so this is me. I'm still going to fight against it's next door doing the leaves. Oh, Just, oh yeah, as on my t-shirt, just do it. Worst comes to the worst. Oh, sorry, that was a bit loud. Should we do it again? I don't think I can. But anyway, I think ITs are not easier than dentistry. That's what I was saying, is that if you make a mistake in IT, you can go back, but I'm not going to go back. And this is because I want to spend more time in my van. But I want to share what we've learned over the years. Dentistry now, I think, is going back, not forward. These are people that supported me when I've tried to promote prevention. There's an awful lot we can do. I don't think I put the slide up, but I did make a webinar. But so if you go for teethforlife.org.uk, then yeah, I probably ought to put that slide in.